Hello, and welcome to another episode of Defining Your Brand podcast. Today on the podcast, I have Gillian Garrett, who is the owner of Gilly Organics. She has created her own line of products, organic products, and has now got them in on the shelves at Whole Foods. And let me just tell you, this woman's amazing. She's had a background at writing at different cosmetic companies and for their brands, and now has taken off creating her own. And I can't wait for you to hear more about her story and how she got where she is and what she's created and built for herself. So enjoy this interview with Gillian Garrett. So for anyone watching this that doesn't know who you are, I'd love for you to basically just give us your name and tell us a little bit about what you do.
You got it. Hi, John. I am Gillian Garrett, otherwise known as Gilly, founder of Gilly's Organics, which is an all-natural organic skincare, hair, and body care line, found locally in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and online, and in Whole Foods.
Awesome. So do you live in New York area?
I do. I am in northern New Jersey now, although I still think of myself as a New Yorker. For most of my life, I was there, but now I am in New Jersey for 17 years, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you grow up there?
No, Long Island, New York.
Okay.
So, yeah. It's funny because people say, like, people from Long Island are like, no, don't ever go to Jersey. And all the Jersey people are like, oh, Long Island, it's the same.
That's funny.
The beautiful suburb of New York City. So they're both very similar, but yeah, happy
That's
here.
awesome.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up? You grew up in that Long Island area, you said?
I grew up on Long Island. I spent a lot of time in my parents' pharmacy, actually, which sort of has a lot to do with like foreshadowing a little bit about what I ended up doing with my life, which is kind of funny because I never planned on mixing things and being sort of like into creating products, but I used to spend a lot of time in their pharmacy. And what I used to do is I used to mash up things with a mortar and pestle and make products. So I would like take a broken eyeshadow off their shelves and mix it with Vaseline and make lip gloss, I would take certain oils and mix them together and make a hair mask for dry hair. And so it was always a little bit of like a fun thing, but I was a concoctor, but it wasn't something I ever thought I was doing with my life. So cut to like 30 years later, and I'm mixing sugar and oil to make sugar scrubs and body butters and stuff like that. So yeah,
that's funny. It seemed I don't know if every kid was like this. I remember as a kid there was always these little sets that you could get for Christmas, and you can mix little things together. So I mean, I feel like probably most kids enjoyed that kind of.
Yeah, kids are mixers for sure.
Yeah,
which is why I wish I had invited my children into the kitchen earlier. Now they're really into cooking. But when they were little, I was sort of like, I got this, and don't touch that. But they're actually really good little chefs. So you got to foster that at a young age for sure.
For sure. Yeah. So you said your parents had their own pharmacy?
Yes. For like, I want to say 20 years, like my whole childhood since I was like 6 years old. But then they sold it. I think I was in college, and like a big box pharmacy superstore moved in across the street, and it was all over for them at that point. Yeah. So, but I think it was time to retire anyway. So, but yeah, I loved working there. It was like I have such fun memories with my siblings and my friends going in there and just cleaning and, putting prices on things and, like I said, mixing. So yeah, it's a good memory. It's good memory.
So did you work there at all yourself, or just?
Oh yeah, totally.
Nice.
Totally worked there. And I loved helping them. I think maybe I never really thought of it this way, but I think that my dad, even though you're a pharmacist, you're sort of an entrepreneur on some level because it was his own store. He didn't work for somebody else. So when you own your own business, there's that autonomy in what you carry and how you conduct yourself and who you hire. So I guess I had that as example, as a great example as a child too. I never really looked at it like that until just now that we're talking about. So I watched them both. My parents worked together, which is like not an easy thing to do, right? Because you're together all the time. But yeah, I think I get some of that entrepreneurial business smarts from both of them. So thanks, guys.
Well, I'm the same way. Both of my parents, they've worked for other people here and there, but you know, in the most recent part of their years, they've had their own businesses. So I definitely totally understand that side of things, because I'm the same way. So I definitely see that rubbing off on people. I mean, it's a tough gig for sure to be an entrepreneur and have your own.
Yes, it is. As we speak, I'm in a conference room in a hotel. We're currently renovating our house. So during COVID, So working in general is just a challenge, right? When you have your own office but I'm hoping that I'm going to rub off on my own kids, and they're going to see a hardworking mom who makes it happen. And whatever they choose to do, that they think that they can go ahead and go after it and get it.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like maybe they'll become chefs since they love cooking so much.
Maybe. Well, we did spend a lot of time together, right? So we were renting in a condo for almost a year and COVID was like 7 months of it. And so no one was really going out to dinner for the longest time. I mean, we're still not, but you can go to a restaurant and pick up now. But for the longest time, we were rotating, like who's making dinner, and each kid had like a special meal that they were good at. And so I was like, you're on for this night, you're on for Mexican night, you're on for Italian. And we just like, everyone had their thing. So I'm looking forward to getting back into our home with our new kitchen and everything, but we're currently displaced right now, but we'll be in soon.
Yeah. So I'd love to talk about, so did you, that time when you were at the pharmacy and all of that, or maybe even in school, did you think that you would go in the direction that you are now?
No, when I was in school, I was in communications. I was a communications major and then a Spanish and theater double minor. I loved acting, which I get to do now on some level, so I'll share with you. But I was very theatrical, and I thought maybe I'd even be a teacher, maybe a Spanish teacher. But so what ended up happening was I got a job. Excuse me. I got a job in cable television, and I loved it. It was in branding, and I worked for the Sci-Fi Channel, and I helped bridge the gap for people who thought they didn't like science fiction, but they do. They just didn't know it. So like, they liked E.T. or Back to the Future, which is totally science fiction. It wasn't Twilight Zone, but it was, right, science fiction. Yeah. So they wanted me to help bridge the gap of particularly, like, I think women who don't think that they like science fiction, and bring it to the masses. So we did this great campaign, and I loved working in cable. I worked there. Then I also worked at Turner Broadcasting. I did some online marketing at City Search. So I definitely got this media background. And then one day when I was at Turner Broadcasting, I had a co-manager, and this project that we were working on, it was a women's network to rival Oxygen. It got nixed after many, many months of working on it. And I looked over at him and I said, David, I think I'm going out on my own. He was like, you're crazy. You're young. You just made it to a manager. Like, you just keep going straight up to the top. And I was like, nope. I think I'm going to try my hands in entrepreneur life. And he was like, okay, well, he didn't think that it was smart. And I said, listen, you think corporate America won't take me back? And I haven't gone back. I haven't needed to, but I know they would if I needed to. And if anything, I honed skills that you wouldn't even learn in corporate. So I left Turner Broadcasting, and within 2 weeks, don't ask me how, but I was writing for Estee Lauder, freelance. And I wrote for them for 5 years. So my background was totally not creating organic skincare while I was living a more natural life when I chose to make the products. I never thought that this was going to be my path. And I think that's the beauty of it. I think the best part about life is when you go for something, you follow like that heartbeat moment. That's what my mentor calls it.
Yeah.
And you just go with it. Like, I have a million passions. I could have done a million things, but like, I was writing for a fragrance and skincare company, and I did it for 5 years. When the vice president of fragrance got fired, I had 2 of my 3 kids at the time, and my husband said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I'm going to make a product." And he was like, "Oh, okay. What kind of product?" So I had already had this oil blend, and my friend said, "Why don't you mix it with sugar and make a sugar scrub?" So I tried a bunch of different granules. Next thing you know, I had a sugar scrub. I started selling it locally, churches and synagogues and preschools and wherever. And slowly, 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 I got a little following. And then people would say, "Oh, hey, I need 10 for Mother's Day." And I'd be like, "Oh my God, someone wants 10 sugar scrubs." And I remember being like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I did that while I still did my side hustles, which, by the way, I have many, 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 many side hustles that kept my business afloat over the last 14 years, which are social media for a million different companies that hired me because you can do it from home and it's lucrative and I'm good at it, right? Writing blogs and newsletters for people, basically marketing and branding. But I also have some really fun side hustles that I do less for the money, but more for the fulfillment, which are, I love coaching female entrepreneurs. I just love it. I mean, I do it for free for some people, but I do charge for, people that, it is a side business and it takes a lot of energy. And also, and it's a whole other topic of conversation, but I do believe that there needs to be some sort of transfer of money when you are coaching someone, because they actually work so much harder. But I have loved coaching women in all stages of their business. I take a deep dive into their brand, and it gives me it keeps me creative. It keeps me helping other people, and it also helps my own business. So that is one of my favorite side hustles, is coaching. And I only take one woman every 3 months because I have my own business to run, right? But it's just like an hour or 2 a week, and I just love it. So there's that. And then I have these 2 jobs, which I guess tie back into my love of dramatics. And that is that, and these came about organically. I am the host of 2 magazine shows. One is for a local Bergen County, New Jersey magazine. It's called Be Local Bergen, and I interview rock stars in the community, and that's like the most fun side hustle job ever. And then almost a year later, Natural Awakenings magazine, which is the magazine you get at checkout at Whole Foods and health food stores, reached out to me and they said, "Well, we love your show for Be Local. Would you do this for wellness people?" And I was like, "Are you kidding?" It's like so right up my alley. So now I get to interview neighborhood rock stars and also wellness rock stars. So like, I get to find out about all these crazy brands and businesses. And those are my 2 main side hustles, along with coaching. And then, of course, managing Gilly's Organics, which is my baby.
Yeah, well, I'd love to kind of break that down, because you obviously are doing a ton of stuff, and that's, of course, that's right up my alley because I'm the same way. But tell me a little bit, like, to kind of go back, the writing for, I forget which company.
Estee Lauder, yeah.
Yeah, how'd that come about?
Oh my gosh, first of all, this was another, see, I believe in following your heartbeat, right? So I was at this party in New York City, and I had just left Turner Broadcasting. And the woman that was having the party was an illustrator, and she was moving out of the country from her New York City apartment. And at the party was a guy who was the head of illustration at Estee Lauder's, Tommy Hilfiger. And he said to me, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a marketing consultant." I had just left. I didn't even say I didn't say like, "Oh, I'm in cable TV," nothing. I said, "I'm a marketing consultant." He said, "Really? I need one of those right now." I said, "Oh, well, what company do you work for?" He said, "Oh, I'm the executive whatever at Tommy Hilfiger." And I was like, okay. And he said, and I need a writing project. Would you write it on spec? And then if we like it, we'll hire you. So I wrote the project. They loved it. And then for 5 years, until his boss got fired, I wrote the most fun copy ever. I'll never forget. I got paid $6,000 for this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And one of the words is theirs. It was a TV campaign. And they said 3 words on the radio and on TV. And it was this: touch, tickle, Tommy.
Oh my God.
Tommy was their word. So I just came up with the word touch and tickle. And I was like, wow, this is great. I'm 26 years old and I'm living in my New York City apartment. I just made $6,000 to write 2 words. And that happened frequently. I used to write for fragrances all the time. And it was like to evoke an emotion. So fresh, crisp, summery. Like I used to write whatever came to mind and whatever they described it as, I would just like come up with, and then the top and middle notes of a fragrance. And I just like came up with it and I had so much fun. And then, that's how I got my first entrepreneur situation. It was just like owning the fact that that's what I do. I just said it. So, and maybe in the beginning there was a little bit of that, what's that word called when you're imposter syndrome, right? But if you say you're a writer, you're a writer, right?
Well, and I think there's something to be said for that, because there's so many people that they let the imposter syndrome get in the way of allowing themselves to like just say that 100%. Because like if you do something, that's what you are, like that's what you do. It's not like you have to, I mean,
own it.
Yeah, like when I picked up a camera, I became a photographer. It wasn't like, and I had to take a test or something before it was
100%. Right.
So, yeah, you just got to do it.
I think I agree with that so much. I mean, a lot of the people that are in my space that are people that I would look up to never went. They weren't aestheticians or chemists before they became an expert in organic skincare. They were passionate about it. They were excited about it. I did not go to journalism school, but I have these 2 side hustle jobs where I interview people. I don't know anything about it. I just love it. So I think that it's a good message. I mean, obviously I believe in school, very much believe in school, but I think that even the best people in their field, at the top of their field, experience a little bit of that imposter syndrome. So, yeah.
I think there's something also to the fact of like not being professional. Because when I like being in school and learning, so for me, it was photography and you learn the rules. I feel like once I learned the rules, I would look at other people that were shooting that weren't professionals, and I'll be like, they're not following the rules of photography that we learned in class, but I think it allowed them to do things that most people wouldn't do because they're trying to follow the rules. Like that's not what you're supposed to do, or that's not considered,
That's a good segue for a bit of a belief system that I have, and that is I believe in following rules that are set, that are important, like societal rules, right? That are real, that are there for a reason, right? There are certain rules that needed to be broken, like women should vote, right? Like, there are things that need to be changed, right, about society, but there are certain rules of society that matter. Like you have to, you don't hurt somebody, you don't touch somebody, there are a million rules, right? But what's my point? My point is that there are some rules to break. And those photographers that are breaking some rules could become at the top of their game because they broke those rules. So I do think that today, certain people are doing weird things with maybe skincare or photography or whatever it is, but they might, by being unique and different, sort of break through in a way that others might not, right? So think sometimes there's a place for breaking rules.
Yeah, and there may be like new rules that are created, or new,
Totally.
like people that break the rules, I feel like, are the ones that stand out. They're the ones that make history, again, going back to rules that are okay to be broken, but are kind of frowned upon within an industry or whatever. Usually those are the people that become remembered or shape what's.
Sure. Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I think if you are true to yourself, I think that's the biggest challenge, I think, for people, is to not like try and stay within the rules. I don't know if it's rules or maybe like safe
Expectation.
So I think that sometimes I'll write something and I want to share it out. If you share it with somebody else, they might go, ooh, that's a little risky, or that's a little too, whatever it is. You're always going to have an opinion. I think the best advice I would ever give anyone is to not really take advice from other people, but to just go with what your gut says. This smells great, or this feels great, or this is the right price for this, or this is the message that you want to send. So send it, right? Otherwise, when you try and market to everyone, you market to no one, right? That's like marketing 101. And it's really true. You're never going to make everyone happy with your photography, with your products, with your message, with your interviews, with your hair, you just have to do what you just have to do, you, as they say.
Right. Yeah. And I've heard people say, they're like, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure, you want to make sure that and again, there are exceptions, but you want to be the most this, or you don't want to offend people, or but it's right. Like, you're only going to be coming from that point of view. And there's always, even if it doesn't offend the person that's saying that, there's someone else that's going to be offended or doesn't resonate with,
Totally agree.
Today's sponsor is brought to you by Live Well, Love Well Apparel. Live Well, Love Well Apparel is a t-shirt company, but it's not just a t-shirt company. I mean, how many times have you bought a t-shirt and that you've loved, but it's actually not doing anything other than just being an extra t-shirt in your closet? How many of you have bought something to support a cause or support an organization, and you bought something, but it may be something that you never wear or never really cared about? Live Well, Love Well Apparel is changing that. So how it's doing that is that it is designing t-shirts that you actually want to wear. This material is soft, it's got tri-blend material, it's comfortable, and it's just an amazing t-shirt, and something that, like I said, you want to wear and want to pair with other things in your closet. And not only that, but it's a company that gives back. So this company right now is donating the proceeds to No Kid Hungry. No Kid Hungry is an organization that helps kids that may not have access to food at home. So when they go to school, that they have a meal that's provided for them. Right now in this pandemic, though, kids don't have that opportunity. They're not at school where school lunches are provided. So No Kid Hungry is making sure that these kids that normally have food provided for them still have a meal. So go check out Live Well, Love Well Apparel by going to lwlwapparel.com.
I think that's the biggest challenge for most successful people in this life, is to sort of put on the blinders and not care so much about pleasing everyone, right? Making sure that they feel proud of their product and they feel proud of themselves and how they're conducting business, right? Yeah. You can, this goes for everything. Like I said, I'm building a house right now. You ask one person, they say, no, don't use marble. And the other person's like, how could you not use marble? Like, it's like, you're going to get a million opinions. People say to me sometimes, I can't believe that your sugar scrub is only $18. Do you know that at Barney's and in Bergdorf's, it's not even organic and it's $68? And then another person will say, I saw a sugar scrub that says it's all organic for $6.99 next to yours at Whole Foods. How come yours is so expensive? It's like you just have to say, you know, like, so you can go crazy. I just try not to go crazy.
For sure.
And
I mean, at this point, we're all just trying not to go crazy, I think.
Right. I mean, sometimes crazy is good, right?
Yeah.
But not like cuckoo bat crazy. Like,
right. Right. So I'd love to kind of like, what was the next step after that? I mean, writing for Estee Lauder and writing for these different people, like, how did that lead you to the next phase?
So I was having dinner with my husband when the vice president of fragrance got let go, and he was really the bread and butter. He was feeding me all of the jobs at Lauder. So I wrote for Donna Karan, Joe Malone, Aveda, Lauder, Clinique. I mean, all of them, right? And when he was the person that was giving me all this work left, I was like getting bored, first of all, to be honest with you, writing fresh, crisp summary. This will make you confident, you know, use happy. But it was fun. But also I had met my husband in an organic takeout restaurant during this time. Wait, when did this happen? Oh, it had happened. I had already been with Steve and I was already writing these copy, but then all of a sudden they wanted me to write this copy for a cream that you put on your abdominals so it makes your abs tighter, which I was like, come on, guys, like, you got to eat clean and do sit-ups and you're not going to get abs from putting this cream on. So it was like I was getting itchy, like I was getting antsy anyway. So I was making great money, like I said, and I was like wearing ripped jeans and a bun in my apartment in New York City. I didn't have to go in. It was like phenomenal. But by the time he was let go, I was already in New Jersey with 2 out of my 3 kids. So I looked at Steve and he said, what do you want to do? And this is how it happened. I said, I'm going to make a product. And that's when I did. And that's how I segued from writing for other people's products to creating my own line. It started with the sugar scrub, which, like I said, it got a little traction slowly. And it wasn't until like 2014 when at the end of the year, I was doing, not even the end of the year, it was May, I was doing a Mother's Day giveaway at Whole Foods. For this local Bergen Mama blog, really great blog in the area. And I just gave moms sugar scrubs away at this Whole Foods event. So one woman, Wendy, hi Wendy, you rock, who was there, said, your products are so great. Like, why aren't you in Whole Foods? And I had grown from 1 product to 9 by this point. And I said, that's so sweet, but like, the packaging, it's not nice enough, and it doesn't say this on it. And I had all of these excuses, which now I coach women to just like, I cut right through that BS, right? But she said, well, it's really nice. Like, I think you should go up to the buyer. So I went up to the buyer and I was like, hi, I'm Gilly. Would you like to try my products? And he was like, yeah. And he tried the products and he said, I love the way they smell. I love the way they feel. The ingredients are all pure. Send me every ingredient. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of insurance money. But if we order, it'll be like 6 months, maybe a year. 6 months to the day. Like when I submitted the paperwork, I got my first order in New Jersey in Whole Foods. And that's when all of a sudden it became kind of real. I was like, okay. Like, it went from, yeah, I have this hobby, I make sugar scrubs and like you can buy it online or here's a free one, you know, to like, oh my gosh, like I have a business and I better treat it as such. So that was when I think this shift happened for me. So definitely.
Well, that's kind of amazing. I mean, that seems, from someone who doesn't do that, it just seems like so like a different world to be able to have a product on a shelf at a store, especially at such a well-known store.
It's surreal sometimes. And like, there's obviously like, they have their challenges. Every place does, right? But they have shown in the past few years that they are really dedicated to they're local brands. And I've been able to go to local summits and meet lots of people and meet new buyers. And I've gotten into more stores since then. And I want to get fully national bought, but I'm happy where I am right now as well. And I'm happy I'm growing my online business. And I think that one of the things that Whole Foods does for a brand is it legitimizes it. It's like, oh, well, if Whole Foods thinks you're natural enough to be on their shelves, then I'll buy you, Right. So that's been really good for me. And so I'm super grateful for them for that. And it's been fun. So that, I think has opened more doors for me. That's definitely one of the things that opened doors for me is getting into Whole Foods. So
I kind of want to hear a little bit, because someone's listening to this that maybe want to do this, to talk a little bit about the challenges, maybe not specifically towards anyone,
you got it.
In general, because, there are going to be challenges.
Yeah, I get asked this a lot, and it's funny because I'm like, you want me to pinpoint one challenge? Like, what? Wait, every day is a challenge. Yeah. But I think the thing about entrepreneurship, tell me if you agree with this, is like, you really learn to roll with the punches. And there are lots of like turnkey entrepreneur things that people can do. Like, that's still hard too. Don't get me wrong. Like, whether you're selling somebody else's skincare or whatever product that they're selling, but when it's your own, it's like a screw up is big, right? Like, something happens to, let's say, 2,000 products or 5,000 jars, or and somebody messed up, and you still want to be a good, kind-hearted person, and you want to have the relationship still. Or there have been so many things over the past 14 years, small to big mistakes. One mistake I think I made was I didn't follow my gut in the beginning. When Whole Foods said to me, don't go opening so many doors, they said, just see how well you do in these couple that I had just opened the doors to. And I said, okay. And as I started to like slowly open doors, all of a sudden there was like a halt on it because Amazon bought Whole Foods. And then you couldn't get into these individual stores anymore. And I was like, my gut said, go with it, because I was good and it was momentum. But like, so I think the answer would be, I had financial challenges, right? Right. In order to scale, you need money, right? So one thing I did was, I'll tell you a mistake I made that I wish I didn't make. I wish that I believed earlier on that I could have a fulfillment company partner, but in my mind, you had to be making a certain amount of money to do that. And I had only interviewed one wonderful place, but they were so expensive, like really expensive. Like, I was thinking, how am I ever going to sell that much product to hire them? And one day I was just talking to I took a call with this person who does fulfillment. And I really was thinking, oh, I'm never going to be able to afford this. We ended up having a conversation, and he has become my fulfillment partner and been so terrific, and it had freed me up from living at UPS and buying boxes and biodegradable peanuts, and spent so much time doing that. And now it's only been not that long that my business went from having interns and me and my husband and everyone else go to UPS every day to having someone do everything for me now. So it's changed the game for me. And now I'm opening more doors, and I'm doing things that I love to do, like those interviews. And so I wish I thought about it sooner. I wish I figured out a way sooner, but you learn as you grow. And that's the cool thing about entrepreneur life. Like, you join events, you join communities, you learn from other people. You have to know that you don't know it all, right?
Right.
And that people can really give you helpful advice. And so I'm open to it all the time. I give it all the time, and I'm open to it all the time.
Yeah, I'm curious. I was just thinking as you were saying this. So like for myself, I have a other side business where I'm selling stuff, and I learned that. So like the way I started doing it was placing an order locally. Well, I learned that I had to bulk order in order to get the best price. Well, if people weren't buying or buying only one size or buying
and you're
only
stuck with all of it, right?
yeah, so then you're like spending more than you're making and all these things. But I find that for an entrepreneur, and tell me if this is true for yourself, in order to be successful, you have to do things publicly. But if you fail, then you're also failing publicly.
Oh yeah. So I've had this conversation with my husband a bunch of times that like, first of all, I put my name on this brand, right? So like, so did you, John, right? Like I didn't know what it was going to become at the time. And I was like, let's call it Gilly's Organics because it has alliteration with the G's, like Gilly's Organics. It's great. Well, I can't tell you that it comes with its challenges. For starters, I have to say my name every time I talk about my brand, which I was like, what? Why'd I do that? Yeah. Okay, so that's one thing. But really, it makes me the brand spokesperson. Like, yes, I'm the founder, but I'm the brand. And so what ends up happening is it has its good and its bad. You have become so tied to your business that if it does fail, you feel like you failed, right? So there have been moments where I was like, what if I don't make this much money? What if I can't pay this employee? What if I don't do this? What if during COVID this? What if this? What if? Like, would my whole identity go away because my brand went away? And I do think that that's a huge thing for entrepreneurs. Even if your name is not on the packaging, it doesn't matter. It's like your blood, sweat, tears, and money and effort. And I've seen a lot of people close doors right now, and they're already pivoting. Like, it's okay that happens to people. But as an entrepreneur, even though I haven't closed my doors and I have no intentions of doing so, I can relate to that feeling of it being completely you, and your concern is that it's fully attached to your identity. It's part of who you are.
Right.
No doubt about it. Totally different. Listen, I have friends that worked for like Unilever for 10, 15 years. They got let go and they still felt like a part of them died because they were so part of a culture, right? But when it's your own, forget it.
Yeah.
Like let's never hope we ever have to have that conversation.
For sure. So it seemed, I went to your website and obviously looked at everything and saw it looks like you've done some amazing appearances on shows and interviews, and I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit about that. Like Good Morning America, it looks like you've been on.
Sure. I'm a total ham, and it's been like finding me, and I'm really grateful for that. I have no PR company. I have a few PR people pitching me, and they're lovely, but I have yet to have someone seek out and find me podcast interviews or guest appearances. And this is going to sound totally woo-woo, but I work on it with my coaching clients. Yeah. What you want totally wants you. And I love speaking. And so without me seeking out anything, these 2 local magazine jobs came my way. And I'm not saying you don't have to work for things that you want. You just have to wish them. That's not true. But I wrote an email to someone not knowing it was Good Morning America. I just answered this ad on Facebook that said, seeking female entrepreneurs, because it was like going to be a Shark Tank episode. Well, I got chosen for it, but then at the end, they had to cut it down. They only had 2 people do the Shark Tank on Good Morning America, and the rest of us got cut. But they called me and said, but wait a minute, don't go. We like your energy and we want you back on the show. So they had me on twice, but I said to them when I was on it, it was the Strahan, Sarah, and Kiki show. And I was like, thank you for having me as a guest, but the next time I'm sitting on the sofa, like I was a guest in the audience. Like they prepared me to come up and be part of their questioning with Marcus Lemonis from The Prophet.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And so I've gotten some really great press. I'm grateful for that. And I'm hoping for some more, obviously. And yeah, it does. It helps the brand a lot, right?
For sure. Well, awesome. Well, I would love for you to tell people where they can find you if they want to learn more about your products and or if they want to follow you on social media.
Yes, of course, you have to follow me on social media. It's at Gilly's Organics, which is Gillys Organics, one word. Same thing on Facebook. Follow me. Go to gillysorganics.com, and I have very affordable healing, hydrating, organic skincare, and it's great for the whole family. It smells great. And I'm just grateful that, John, you had me to talk about my brand and its progression. I love what you're doing. And
I love what you're doing.
Thank you. I definitely need you to send me your address so we can send you some goodies.
I'd love that.
Awesome.
Well, thanks so much for doing this. And if everybody wants to find out more about what you're doing, go follow her, and hopefully they'll get some amazing products from you too.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Bye.